So you're holding the autobiography of Malcolm X along with Alex Haley. I don't know how far you are into the book, but what's your biggest takeaway so far?
I kind of just started a couple days ago. Read and a lot of notes over the years. It's my first time actually reading this from start to finish. Very smart man. Very smart man. Basically, his words in the 60s and what was going on is actually what's going on today still. It's unbelievable to kind of read something that's coming directly from him. Wish I had the opportunity to meet him. It's a pretty interesting book so far.
Don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion.
Okay, Ring Culture, welcome back to Ring Culture, where we play no games. We just spit game about the game we love. Before we get into this video, though, go over to my reaction page, the Nuclear Reactor, and check out my hoops reactions over there. There's a lot of good basketball reactions on that page. Y'all will love it. Plus, I react to different series like The Boys, Ironheart, Eyes of Wakanda, Fallout, stuff like that. Y'all will love it over there. But back over here, Ring Culture. Make sure y'all like and comment down below. That's how y'all push me into the algorithm. And then I'll go get them with my content. Hit them and fit them and sit with them. Subscribe and hit the bell notification so y'all can be notified for every time I upload. Share my videos and hype my channel. So today, I'm going to be talking about LeBron James' controversial Memphis comments. I actually wasn't going to say anything about this because to me, his comments had nothing to do with basketball. Even though he's a basketball player and he's talking about a basketball team, his comments come from a deeper place of propaganda that America's been under for hundreds of years. But one of my subs, Dope Tour 3196, wanted to hear my opinion on this. So before I start, I got to lay some ground rules. Not everyone's going to agree with what I'm saying because all of us in America are under different points of the white supremacist propaganda that America's been under for hundreds of years. America was founded on white supremacy, and white supremacy propaganda really infects us all because we've been getting white supremacy propaganda washed on us from our birth, and it persists now. Like white supremacists successfully hijacked the term woke and made it mean anything they don't like. So if there's a female lead in the TV show or a movie, that's woke. WNBA is woke. Race swap characters, that's woke. You know, anything they don't like is woke. So that's one thing. They hijacked DEI and turned it into people just getting jobs because of their skin color, when DEI was only needed because white supremacists was getting jobs because of their skin color. They were being and qualified minorities was being passed over because of their skin color, even though they were more qualified than the white supremacists that were getting jobs. We see it in with affirmative action being struck down in colleges, when the problem in college is, again, white supremacists pay a bunch of money to the school and their kids just get in. They call it legacy admissions. You understand what I'm saying? So the foundation of America was all founded on white supremacy. And the goal of white supremacy, which a lot of people don't know, is for rich, wealthy white men to hoard wealth, power, and control over America, and oppress the rest of us. Now, what happened was wealthy white men realized that they were outnumbered by the people that they were oppressing, both black and white. And they noticed that oppressed people were starting to come together in a class consciousness, and they was about to look up at them. So what wealthy white men did was introduce whiteness into the chat. And they made people who were white believe that they were more special because of the color of their skin. And it's easier to discriminate against somebody that looks much different. Black people, we don't look anything like white people. Because remember, Italians wasn't even considered to be white before. You understand what I'm saying? I'm building to a point of why what I mean about what LeBron said. The marks of white supremacy is middle class and poor white people. They are the marks. The propaganda that washes over them, like the Great Replacement Theory and things of that nature. Wealthy white men's goal is to both scare and fill with anger middle class and poor white people, so they will uphold white supremacy in America, and it's been working. Another unhealthy side effect of white supremacy is that when immigrants come to America, they immediately want them to bow down to white supremacy. That's why you hear a lot of Republicans and right-wingers say when they come to America, they have to assimilate. What they mean by that is they don't want them to question white supremacy. That's what they mean. Now, there's a lot of anti-blackness in white supremacy because by and large, us black people have been here so long that we've tried everything and we don't bow down to our oppressor the way immigrants who will come here and already have been propagandized before they got here to believe that we are violent, the violent ones, even though white supremacists used to literally cook us and eat us, and go to church Sunday morning and come home Sunday afternoon and barbecue us. That's not hyperbole, by the way. They used to literally barbecue us and eat us and take parts of our anatomy and make postcards out of them, hang them in shops or windows, just satanic. They would come home from church and do this kind of stuff. So they have to, white supremacists have to give immigrants and white people that they are subjugating someone to hate. And most of it is anti-blackness. The problem with immigrants believing stuff like this is the point, again, of white supremacy is for wealthy white men to hoard wealth, power, and control of America. Hence, we see when Trump was kidnapping immigrant kids and caging them and deporting the parents. Now we see ICE deporting as many Hispanics and Haitians and, as they can, because studies have shown by 2045, white people will not be the majority in America. This is part of the Great Replacement Theory. So they are afraid. So wealthy white men have convinced middle class and poor white people that they should fear not being the majority in America. And that is another way that white supremacy is upheld. Okay. Before I go on, the good news is a lot of people are starting to wake up, the real meaning of woke. And I'm going to play off some stitches of people waking up. Then I'm going to come back and finish my point. Look, watch this.
When I came to America newly, I used to think African Americans are lazy. They don't want to work and all that. You will never understand the struggle of African Americans until you live in the system for 5 years. Then you understand that being black in the system is already playing you 10-0. Like you are 10 steps behind. The schools in black neighborhoods, they're all underfunded. The only thing you can find anywhere, everywhere in black neighborhood is liquor store. Keep drinking and keep yourselves busy. Now I understand why everybody's fighting so much to live in white neighborhood. Before I used to say they are not proud of their skin color. They don't love who they are. But they're actually fighting for their children's future. Because being black in the system is already playing you 10-0. You are 10 steps behind. Is it you that is coming with underfunded certificates that want to be competing with somebody that is 10 steps ahead of you? Being black in the system is tough. You see, African Americans and Africans, we are all the same. Let us not be distracted. We are all the same. The only difference is that one is living in America, the other one is coming from Africa. Let's support each other's business. If you see your brother trying to make ends meet, support his business. You get to the point now. Peace and love.
You're saying more black people get abortions.
Yes. So I look
Okay,
at that.
why is that, white lady? White lady, why do more black people get abortions? Because abortions are based on what? Lack of access to resources. Because abortions disproportionately happen to impoverished people. Why are black people more impoverished than white people? Because of white supremacy. So thank you for pointing out that people that have been forced into poverty through systemic racism of the last 200 years are forced to abort their baby more because of the lack of resources to be able to raise a baby. And then you, as a white lady, use that as your talking point to take the health care away from those same women that are suffering in those same impoverished neighborhoods because you don't want to acknowledge the white supremacy behind it all. Go ahead.
Abortion is rooted in racism. It's inextricably tied to eugenics.
And at one point I heard a quote from James Baldwin that racism is actually not a people of color problem. It's a white person problem. And it's not going to change unless white people do something about it. And
I'm doing my own work to look at what are the racist attitudes I still have, racist behaviors I'm doing. I'm showing up and saying, look what I did just yesterday. I could tell you the stories if you want. And we're holding each other accountable, not just to study and knowledge. All right, that might be useful, but it's no longer enough. It's what are our white supremacist attitudes and behaviors that we are doing and relating in, not judging, holding each other accountable for change. It's not just navel gazing, it is change. And so that's what we're doing. So white racial justice work, anti-racist work is self-work, in my opinion. We have to do that or we whites will replicate the status quo that Ted was talking about in that default, as you're saying, we will replicate it. And so much to do. Don't jump into urgency uninformed, but informed, collaborative urgency, action now.
I'm mad at Asian Americans because why are we so smart but so silent? What's with the silence? I suspect that if we opened our mouths, we would side with black people and other brown people as the real American heroes. Yeah, we're brown, not white. But this would disrupt the white supremacy brainwash we're caught in. And deep down, we hate ourselves for siding with whiteness. We know they're wrong. Our silence is the sound of us hating ourselves. But that's the Squid Game trap that they set for us, an Asian American matrix that messes with our reality. And it's all based on hating black people. You know, the ones we're all secretly trying to copy, even the white people's. White supremacy isn't smart, but it's tricky like that. You like being tricked? I don't know any Asians who put up with that. We gotta decolonize ourselves and find Asian joy. Therein lies our voice.
Hi, Black 1000. I answered this a little bit earlier today, but I was gonna try to elaborate a little bit. From my experience, because I can't speak for everyone, all white people or their experiences, but from my experience, it was more like taught to fear you than hate you. I was taught that you were dangerous, that you hated white people. I can remember being told that like I couldn't go in certain parts of town because like if I was just walking down the street, I would have been like murdered or raped or something. It was just more like the rhetoric in the background. Part of my white privilege is I can put down my anti-racist torch and like not think about this because it's not negatively affecting me. In that, we also have white privilege in our racism because we don't have to carry it around all the time. It's not like front of mind. It's not like I was constantly being berated with like bad rhetoric about black people. It's always just like in the background, like being reinforced with, you know, racist jokes or racist comments about people or, you know, using racial slurs to degrade people. So it still happens today. I'm like, there's a park by my house and they have public events for like Easter. They'll have an Easter egg hunt, but we go to them, and it's predominantly Black people that attend. And I will have white people in my life when they'll be like, oh, what are you doing Saturday? I'm like, oh, we're going up to the park by our house. And they're like, you know, it gets really dark around there, which is now like code for there's too many Black people. Or they'll be like, oh, it's really going to be really dark there, so why don't you go over to this part of town, to that park? And I'm just like, yeah, we've been many times, we enjoy it, that's why we're going. But it's just that constant like thread through, like theme throughout. And I feel like some of that doesn't answer the question as to like why people feel that way, but again, it's just been ingrained in us since children to fear you, which easily turns to hate, right? If you are scared of them and think that they're going to like threaten your way of life or threaten your well-being, then you are going to hate them. And it's wild, and I'm trying to break down these barriers. I really just want people to see, like, push back on those thoughts, peel back the onion a little bit. Like, why do you have these thoughts? Where did they come from? Are they rooted in fact? Are they rooted in your experiences? And I've said this before, but when you isolate yourself away from a group that you have hatred for, whether it's Black people or the LGBTQIA community or the trans community or Muslims or whoever, when you don't have actual experiences with these people on a regular basis, it is easy to continue to believe the bullshit that you've been told because you don't have anything to judge it against except for believing people you love and trust in your life that have told you these things. So more than anything, I encourage white people to engage with these communities, make friends, have experiences, build your own narrative. So at least it's built on something real and just not something that you've been told that's been passed down through generations that have been built on hate.
Please don't fall for the okie doke from these misinformed celebrities speaking about politics. Just this week, we found out that TLC's Chili posted conspiracy theories about Michelle Obama and donated to Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Nick Cannon is out here claiming the Democrats are the party of the KKK, a historically illiterate argument that ignores the fact that Democrats signed the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, the Fair Housing Act, the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act, and gave us the first and only Black president and vice president. But Nick Cannon supports Donald Trump, the same Trump who posted a racist video depicting the Obamas as apes, who claimed that Haitians were eating white people's cats and dogs, who tore down Black Lives Matter Plaza and put up Confederate monuments in Washington, D.C., who placed new restrictions on Black people coming into the U.S., but opened the door for white South Africans. The problem is that some people were so caught up in the media-generated lie of the reality TV Trump that they forgot the reality Trump, who refused to rent to Black people and was fined for racial discrimination at his casinos, who spent nearly 6 years lying about a Black man's birth certificate and led a lynch mob against 5 Black and brown teenagers. Some of these rich celebrities are looking for pardons and favors and tax cuts, but that doesn't help ordinary Black people. We can't let Nicki Minaj or Stephen A. Smith, Tiger Woods, Gloria Gaynor, Kanye West, or anyone else be used against us to normalize, whitewash, or excuse Trump's racism. Yes, celebrities have the right to their opinions, but when those opinions are not grounded in fact and parrot the racist talking points of our oppressors, the voices of the few and famous become weaponized to drown out the chorus of the many. So let's do something different. Unfollow the celebrities when they betray the Black community and follow the smart people out here doing the work, covering the news, researching the legislation, and trying to help our people. They warned us about all the chaos and corruption that is happening right now. Let's stop worshiping the talent and start listening to the truth tellers.
Black Americans have been in an abusive relationship with the United States since our most recent journey here in 1619. Yes, most recent because of course there's evidence that we were here prior to colonization. Go read a book and argue with your mama, because that's not the point of this video. So we've been in an abusive relationship with the United States since 1619. And just like any person who's been victimized in a relationship, we've told the future girlfriends of the United States, they're an abuser. And you need to listen to us, Because what they did to us, they're going to do to you. You know who the most recent girlfriends are? The immigrants. See, you all thought that you were special. Because see, just like what any abuser does, when they abuse someone and then that person leaves them, the next person they go to, they start talking about the former. Yeah, they're crazy. They don't know what they're talking about. If you hear them say such and such, they are lying. So they try to get ahead of the game. They try to taint your mind to make you believe there's something wrong with the ex. In our simple minds, in our arrogance, even in regular person-to-person relationships, we always think we're better than the ex. See, they're not going to treat me that way because I'm not like you. I'm special because they chose me now. And there's something wrong with you because they got rid of you, or they no longer want you, or they never treated you right, and they're going to treat me differently. And so just like with any abuser, they manipulate the new person into believing that the old person has done something wrong, has done something crazy, are crazy. And then they get with you and they try to convince you, they manipulate you. They get your mind off of what you need to focus on. So when you see the red flags, you don't really pay attention to the red flags. They're there, but you don't really see them because you're making excuses for them. And they told you that we're the ones that were so bad and we're the ones that were so wrong, that when they start showing you who they really are, you really don't believe it's happening to you because they made you believe that you were better than us. You're better than the ex. By the time you realize that you've been abused and you're in a trap, it's too late. They have separated you from the people that love you. They've mind fucked you and made you believe things that are not true. They have manipulated you, conned you, taken advantage of you. They done took your money, fucked up your credit, messed around with your kids. They have done all horrible things. Horrible things. And then you wake up and be like, hold on, I'm in an abusive relationship too. Wait a minute, I'm a victim too. Hold on, why didn't I believe them when they said it? And it's because they played you. Now, see, we didn't have a choice because we were brought here. We saw them for who they were on the other side. We saw them then. Yes. But what you all did was they got you when you was over there. Before you even set foot on these shores, they showed you all kinds of things in the media to make you believe all these crazy things about us African Americans. You know, we lazy. We are. We're lazy and we don't take advantage of the opportunities that we have here, and that we squander things. We haven't created anything. We haven't done anything amazing in history. And so they made you believe that you were special. They made you believe that you're different. You're not like them. Don't be over there with them. Don't listen to them. See, even at work, you know how when you get hired, they don't want you to discuss pay or responsibilities and stuff, because see, what's happening is people are getting paid differently, doing the same work, or one has more of a workload than the other, but you're getting paid less. As long as you don't communicate and talk, then you think that you're special. That's what they did to you. They told you that you were special. They said, don't go over there with them. As long as they can keep us separated and keep you believing that we're in the wrong, then you're going to do their bidding. You're going to now take the mantle and discriminate against us and hate us and talk about us and tell us that we're not good people and we are this and we are that. Everything that they've told you, you come back and bring it to us. So now they've manipulated you to the point where you actually do their dirty work. And then the election happened and you all showed up. And you did exactly what they wanted you to do. And I'm not going to say not all, because you know if you weren't the one that did it, then I'm not talking to you. So there's that. But those of you who did, you drank the Kool-Aid, you sipped the sauce, and you thought that you were different. And now look at you. Now you're looking at the ex-girlfriend to come and save you. You're screaming at the ex, why aren't you helping me? And the ex warned you. Child, we done sent the telegram, we sent the pigeon, railroad, the mailman, UPS, and FedEx. Child, we sent Morse code, everything. We told you that they're an abuser. We told you not to believe them. What you did was you believed them because you believed that you were special and you were different. And you believed that what they did to us would never happen to you. And I mean, it's in the history books. Whatever they do to us first, they then spill over and do to the immigrants. And then they spill over and do to poor white people. Like, the history is there. They don't have a new playbook. You just refuse to read. You refuse to believe what you see. And isn't that what happens? The abuser comes and with their charm, they lure you in and they tell you how special you are. Oh, you're not like the others. You're so different. You make my life better. What would I do without you? See, with that last one, this is what they did and la-di-da-di-da. But with you, yeah, I'm glad you're here because you're nothing like them. That's how they get you. And then you get got.
You tell me if Latinos aren't the most successfully colonized, considering they are voting people in that continue to hurt our community, all for their proximity to whiteness, because for some reason they believe that that's upward progression when a white man's leadership has never led us to liberty. They believe that they are Christian and Catholic by choice. And it's not by choice. It's by observational knowledge and colonization. The people around them were Christian and Catholic. They believe that their religion is the optimal religion and will not study other ones because that goes against their primary quote unquote belief. But it's not their belief. It was the colonizers' belief, because when the Spanish came with a Bible in one hand and a gun in another. And in order to successfully colonize a group, you need to do a couple of things. One, remove their language. They've made us believe that Spanish is our own tongue, which is why we mock people saying, tienes el nopal en la cara and you don't speak Spanish, not even knowing that that term is also derogatory to mean you look indigenous and you don't speak Spanish. The words of the oppressor. You and I also speak bastard Spanish, not authentic Spanish. A lot of our Spanish is mixed in with indigenous words. And if you go to Spain, they will let you know that. 2, introduce an organized religion. One that says that you will obey the law of the land, that you will obey your mother and your father, because they didn't come with women. The Spanish just came with men, and then they raped our children, which is why they were also heavy on the you must forgive. To further that, then you have to eradicate their beliefs and their spirituality. You also need to steal all their riches so they don't remember, as well as removing all of their hard work that they've done. We know the Mayans were leading in astronomy. So they burned books, they removed all the monuments that they had, and they stripped them away from everything that they knew. Then they create a caste system. One where they say that the lighter you are, the more intelligent, the more powerful you are. And they do this because they created a white Jesus, when we know the Bible says that Jesus had bronze skin and hair of wool. Last time I checked, white people don't have hair of wool. They don't. Black people do, though. When you create a liberator of sins to look white, you convince the indigenous community that whiteness somehow means greatness. Then the colonizer introduces racism in their mind because they target a few while lifting up the rest. For example, we had the Spanish on the top, the mestizos that were mixed with Indian and Spanish. Then you had the mulattos, and then so on and so forth, and then the negros, right? And when you have this separation, you can target a group of people and say they are the bad ones. We should all go against them, while not understanding that the oppressed is a collective experience. It doesn't matter if we were mestizo or mulatto or negro. Yes, the negros suffered a lot freaking more, but that doesn't mean that the mestizo and mulatto didn't. All in all, to say, racism in the Latino community, which I don't even like saying Latino. That's like fucking saying you're American. Like, what kind of American are you? Are you European American? Are you Black American? Are you Mexican American? Latino is a term that means you just speak Latin from Rome. Last time I checked, we're not Roman. And Hispanic just means you belong to Spain. I'm sorry, I don't belong to Spain. I prefer the term indigenous, but that's for another day. When you engrave colorism, remove someone's religion, remove their language so they don't pass down stories or beliefs, then you have successfully colonized a group. Not just colonize them by ripping this stuff away from them, but colonize their mind. Once this all takes place, this means that the indigenous community will no longer understand that the land is their mother, that they only take what they need. And that is what the Europeans wanted. They wanted ownership. They could not understand how the indigenous people gave so freely, how they didn't own anything. In fact, Christopher Columbus mocked the Taínos to say how foolish they were, that they did not believe in ownership. So now that we've discussed a little bit of history, how does that play into today? We lump ourselves up with the term Latino and Hispanic, and then even then we can't even go deeper. And when we ask what type of Latino and Hispanic you are, you only know your nationality. You only know Guatemalan and Mexican, which again is kind of like American. What kind of Mexican are you? What kind of indigenous tribe do you come from? Many people to this day do not know. So when you have separated someone so far away from their origins, guess what? The colonizer has won, because you forgot that you're native to this land, that we're indigenous to this land. They make you believe that you are the outsider when the outsider has always been them. And to this day, they make you believe that indigenous people are the savages, that the indigenous people were the only ones to make sacrifices. I'm sorry. It's the European Americans that are the savages and the murderers. Aren't they still sacrificing people today? Aren't they still killing people today? We have modern day lynchings. We still have police killing. We still have biological warfare. They're still making us sick. If you're ready to uncover the truth, the ones that white people did not want to teach us, the ones that the government did not want to teach us, make sure you follow me for more, because it's about to get good here.
Do you want to talk about upholding white supremacy and how Latinos play a role into it? Because if you do, you've come to the right place. Because one of the biggest disappointments that came out from the election and Kamala Harris losing the election is me discovering how many Latinos not only voted for that man, but actively voted against our community and actively spoke ill will of immigrants when so many of them are descendants of immigrants themselves. Let's talk about that. And how so much of this is tied to the need to feel close to whiteness, the proximity to whiteness. Think about that, okay? And I want to play this video so that you can put things into context, because this video of a dad talking to his son in Spanish about his immigration story. It's in Spanish, I'll translate it afterwards, at least the main points, and then we'll do a little analysis, because we need to talk about this, because this did play a role. This did contribute to a Black and Asian woman not being elected to the highest office in the land, okay? It did, it's connected. So let me play the video.
Esa gente, también así me vine. Y porque así me vine, naciste tú aquí, por eso no tienes el mismo pensamiento que nosotros. Esas personas no tienen ninguna oportunidad en nuestras tierras, por eso es que migran.
And the clip is longer, but I'll summarize what the dad said. The dad is telling the son that people will immigrate to this country because of lack of opportunity or issues that they're encountering in their own country. And I know a lot of people out there are like, oh, well, that's their problem. But can you imagine, and this is where the lack of empathy plays a role, can you imagine if you had no opportunities in your country, or if you were in a war-torn country, or if you fell into a dictatorship? Can you imagine feeling like the only option you have is to immigrate to another country, and for that country to be like, nah, or for the people of that country to be like, don't care about you, no. And to do that to your own people, The dad is telling him that the son gets the benefit from being a citizen because the dad immigrated. Because he immigrated. The why behind the story is also important. Okay, but let's talk about how this impacted the election, because I think that's really important. There is a socialization of our people, the Latino community, when we are growing up, that we are told to aspire to what the Americano, what the American does. And Americano is synonymous of white. It's not just any American, it's what the white person does, because it is observed that white people are treated differently. That is a thing. And within the Latino community, there's also anti-blackness, there's colorism, there's machismo, and all of those things. There's internalized racism, this need to be close to white people that exists, and it absolutely contributed to a Black and Asian woman not being elected to office. That absolutely contributed, and I will stand on that. And if you understand this, comment. Let me know, because I cannot be the only one that believes this. Follow for more, because we're going to be talking about this way more.
Black people and Asian people are meant for each other. But let me piggyback off this subject and present to you Black and Asian solidarity. If you guys don't know, we've always been there for each other since the beginning. Let's take a trip through history to really understand that. Black people were dying in the Vietnam War more than white people per capita. But did you guys hate us? No. As a matter of fact, y'all understood that that was the white man's war. Here's black people protesting against the Vietnam War. This is Yuri Kochiyama, an Asian woman activist, and she was really good friend with Malcolm X. See, we've always been there for each other. Black people, during the H-Mart thing, you guys were not in our business, because your problem, our problem. Our problems, your problems. We have always shared problems. Let me prove it. Y'all got Uncle Tom's, we got Uncle Tam's. They destroy villages in Africa, they also bomb the shit out of Asia. Y'all deal with the Klan, we deal with the Klan. Here's Martin Luther King and Thich Nhat Hanh, a Vietnamese Buddhist. They were probably talking about how to deal with the Klan in this picture. Look at this. This is the wealth inequality in America. Your problems, our problems. You guys know what else we have in common? We're diabolical builders. The Chinese people built the Great Wall of China, a proper wall. The people of Mali built Timbuktu, a proper city. Just like the people of Southeast Asia, black people of America have rebuilt their identity, community, and culture brick by brick. They keep destroying black towns, but you guys give up and stop rebuilding? It used to be that you can't have shit in Detroit. Detroit is kinda okay now. Another reason for black and Asian solidarity is rice. That's right, rice gang. Do not let the crackers propaganda deceive you. Black people love rice as much as Asian people. Here's African rice, here's Asian rice. Y'all remember when I said you got Uncle Tom's and we got Uncle Tam's? Throw both of these traitors in Chinese prison and make them work on rice fields. If they want to be for the whites, treat them as such. With all that being said, in the spirit of Black and Asian solidarity, I propose that the Asian community make our own version of the Black Panthers. We're gonna call it the Flying Phoenix.
Hot take, but I think that Asian people and Black people are meant to be friends. We have so many cultural similarities that make it easy to relate to each other. Both cultures got family values, tough ass food, strict ass parents. Oh, and don't get me started on family functions. My homeboys be talking about Black people get turned at the family function. Hey, you haven't seen the Asian family functions though. I'm talking about Viet, Filipino, Kazakh. We go crazy. Hear me out. Every Jackie Chan meets his Chris Tucker. On some real shit, me and my Black friends, we just click. Like if I'm playing R&B in the car, they're gonna be like, yo, pass me the aux. I fuck with anime, they gon' watch it with me. Bro, now that I think of it, there's so many examples of this type of friendship online. Bro, why do you think Kai Cenat and Ray got along so well? K-pop music literally takes inspiration from African American artists. There's way too many similarities. Anyways, let me know in the comments what you guys think, and also let me know what other race duos there are.
Stop using Black people as a gotcha against Asians. Whenever Asians talk about hate crimes or fetishization, which are acts of blatant white supremacy, someone's always like, oh, but it was Black people who committed the most crimes against Asians. Actually, no, statistically, you're just wrong. It was a white person who walked into the Atlanta spa with a pew-pew and murdered 8 people, including 6 Asian women, citing that they were temptations for his sexual fantasies. Sounds about white to me. And for a second, let's just consider that Black people were committing as many crimes per capita as white people were against Asian people. That doesn't make them any worse than the white people committing the crimes. So your whataboutism, I'm just gonna throw it back in your face because you're trying to distract from the real issue. And it's not just white people who are doing this. It's people in our own community, Asian people, who are perpetuating this anti-Black white supremacist myth. Or if we talk about cultural appropriation, people are like, oh, but Wu-Tang Clan. But Megan Thee Stallion cosplayed as an anime character. I saw that costume. It made me feel loved. And her political activism has always been on the right side and inclusive of everyone. And if they want to talk about like historical clashes between Black people and Asian people, literally Asian people were given not very much land to live on in all these cities, and they always put us right next to the Black people as like a buffer to separate the Black neighborhoods with the Asian neighborhoods and the white neighborhoods. Like we were just that great wall in between the white people and the Black people. All of my talking points where I'm defending our culture and our people from these people, I'm not gonna lie, I learned them mostly from listening to Black people, from being in community with Black people, from having Black people in my life. Talking to them and reading their literature has helped give voice to a lot of these things that I've been feeling my entire life that took me out of this like fiction of being their model minority. And now I really see it, because if I had stayed that model minority, then I'd be causing a lot less trouble for white people. And they're not the majority in America anymore. They're only the plurality. And they know that the second that all of us non-white folks banded together, they would lose everything they've ever had.
Okay. White supremacy in America is so strong that it has convinced minorities that a party full of 98% of middle class and old white men have their best interests in mind. Again, like I told y'all, not everyone's going to agree with what I'm saying, because we are all in different stages of the propaganda of white supremacy that we are under, and different stages of our deconstruction of it. Because I used to fall into a lot of white supremacist talking points about Black people until I realized that, wait a second, this would apply to me too. I'm Black. Always notice that whenever a Black person does something that is illegal, white supremacists are quick to paint all of us like that. But they will never ever paint all of us with the broad brush of all of the inventions that we invent or the good things we do. But when a white supremacist goes into a school, a movie theater, a mosque, or whatever, and opens fire and does mass elimination of people, white supremacists are quick to say that it's a lone wolf, even though that person has been radicalized by white supremacist propaganda. Because again, white people are the marks of white supremacists. Okay. Another piece of propaganda from white supremacists that persists is what I mentioned earlier was anti-blackness, which is why you see on the evening news that you'll see all the crime is really concentrated around the black community and Hispanic community. White supremacists coined the phrase black on black crime, even though white people commit crimes against each other at the same rate. These are called proximity crimes. People commit crimes against people that they live near. So that would then ask you, why there a concentrated cluster of black people living around each other, or Hispanic people living around each other, and white people living around each other? Well, that's another aspect of white supremacy. It was redlining. Us black people wasn't allowed to live near white people, so they would put us in our own neighborhoods, and then they would disenfranchise those neighborhoods. And crime, high crime, is linked to disenfranchisement, to economic struggles. So they would underfund our schools. They would put us in food deserts. Do we want to have the same kind of food? The prices would be different in our area. They would give Asians business loans to open up Chinese stores and liquor stores and things like that in our area, and it was hard for us to get it. This was all a plan of white supremacy. Now, if you're telling the whole nation on the news every day, you see on the news that all this crime is just localized to this color, you're going to believe it. But you don't see the white crime unless you watch shows like First 48, Forensics Files, and stuff like that. There's a series on TikTok where it's a page called Leave Black People Alone, where they do like white on white crime segments, where you'll see that low income white areas have the same amount of crime as low income black areas. This is starting to get to the point where LeBron James comments start to come into focus. As we know, Memphis is rich in civil rights, the civil rights history of it all. I'll show y'all a little bit of that here. Okay, so white supremacy always has to form everything around anything that's not white as less than, and you see it a lot with black things, black owned things, HBCUs. You ever notice that when you talk about HBCUs, that is always a negative connotation towards all of them, even though all of them aren't what you can call negative? Yes, they're underfunded, but white supremacists won't say the reason that some of them lack things is because of underfunding. White supremacists will underfund it and then use the results of the underfunding to trash black people. The same thing in our neighborhoods. They would disenfranchise our neighborhoods, use the results of disenfranchisement to indict all black people. So this stuff washed over us for so long that even us black people discriminate against black people. You know what I'm saying? All you'll see on the news is crime from the black area, and you live in a low-income black area, and you're thinking like, man, it must be all of us because everyone talks like that. So for LeBron James to want to disenfranchise a predominantly black city because he doesn't like the hotels is just another compartment of propaganda that all of us are under in white supremacy. My buddy, I remember he was talking to me about HBCUs, but every time he would talk about it, it would be negative. And I asked him one day, like, yo, bro, like, this is me when I was waking up, and I was curious. I said, yo, why is all HBCUs the way you described them? He was like, no, some of them are actually great. I said, so why every time we talk about HBCUs, you lump them all in this negative connotation? I had a coworker who was saying stuff about black people can't have anything. And I said, yo, man, why you always lump all of us into this we can't have nothing? Like if he goes into a black neighborhood and he sees crime or something is all of us. I said, why don't you talk about all the, like, why don't you lump us into like the good things we do? Because really only 3% of black people end up going to jail and entering the system. But white supremacists will have you believe that all of us are lazy, even though we made our own universities because we couldn't go to theirs, even though we made our own sports leagues because they wouldn't let us play in that sports league. We did that. Matter of fact, the ABA was so successful that the NBA was dying, and then they had to make a merger with the ABA because their product was dying. You understand what I'm saying? So when LeBron James cold switches like this, also too, another thing I noticed when I was watching LeBron James talk was, why the fuck is he talking like that? Like, he put on this, this voice, but if you put side by side the video of LeBron James talking to the fan about, I can still do this shit, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And then put the voice on of him when he's at this country club talking to predominantly white men. Why is he talking like that? You know what I'm saying? LeBron James is obviously a fraud.
Don't let him about this shit, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Don't let him about for you, though. Still do this shit. Put me on the shelf, you know? Don't let him about for you. This shit, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Don't let him about for you, though. Still do this shit. Put me on the shelf, you know?
So does the travel get worse for you, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just wears on you more?
Yeah, random Tuesday in Milwaukee, staying at the Hyatt at 41 years old. You think I want to do that? Being in Memphis on a random ass Thursday. I'm not like the first guy to even talk about it in the NBA. Like, we all like, you guys have to move. Just go over to Nashville. You got Vanderbilt over there. You got the NASCAR. You got a stadium. Don't they got a hockey team too?
Yeah, Predators.
Yeah. Like, they got everything.
Doesn't look like LeBron's going to be on the Grizzlies anytime soon, so Grizzly fans out there.
Yeah, they know. Their only chance was in 2003 if they would have won the lottery to get me there. And I might have pulled a Eli Manning and not showed up.
I lost, I already did not respect LeBron basketball career, but I lost a lot of respect for him talking about further disenfranchising predominant black city because he didn't like the hotels. I wish a lot of these NBA players would get together and find ways where they can help areas that they think should be up to par, because when you say stuff like this out in public, not just around the white people that he was around, because remember, the marks of white supremacy are white people. So those white men, unless they haven't already started to do the work of deprogramming themselves from white supremacist rhetoric, that just sounds normal to them. It's just, oh yeah, he's talking about black people, so it's trash. The hotels are bad because he's talking about black people. And he wants to move them to Nashville, of course, because everything's better if you take it away from black people. That's the problem with what LeBron James said. For me, again, I know not everyone's going to agree because we're all in different levels of our propagandizement of white supremacy. I want to make one more statement before I close out this video. Because the propaganda of white supremacy, which is rich white men, wealthy white men oppressing us all. Remember, Malcolm X said that white supremacists will have us hating the oppressed and loving the oppressor. Okay? Because white supremacy marks are white people, every white person, because they've been under white supremacy rhetoric their whole lives in America, listen close, because I know some people are going to try to twist this. They are either racist or have racist biases, unless they have done the work or starting to do the work to deconstruct all the propaganda they've been under. Now, look, we have a white supremacist administration in the White House now. And as a result of it, we're watching America fall right now because white supremacy is stupid. It's dumb. It survives off of dumb, stupid propaganda and stereotypes. White supremacists themselves are fucking morons. They're not smart. They don't know much. White supremacists are so stupid that they had to come and kidnap people, us and other people from our land, to come do the work for them here in America. And all they did was steal a bunch of our inventions, take credit for them. White supremacists are fucking stupid. They're dumb. That's why you see this lunatic and this dumbass in the White House now destabilizing the world and also destroying America. He even started before he got into the White House talking about tariffs, and instead of people going to look up what tariffs was, they voted for this fucking dummy white supremacist, and then his tariffs raises the price of everything, and because of his war, fuel is going up, and because everything we sell is transported with fuel, that means the prices of everything is going to go up because white supremacy is fucking stupid. White supremacists are fucking stupid. So, LeBron James' rhetoric is just an extension of the white supremacist propaganda we're under to make it seem that whenever something is in black people's hands, we destroy it, we break it, we don't know how to do anything with it. Remember, for years, it was science in the United States that we couldn't feel empathy, we couldn't feel pain, and we weren't bright, our brains were smaller, and they used that, and they used these tests their tests that we were never taught to prove that we're dumber than them, even though where they took us from, they were kings, we were knowledgeable, we always excelled, and we excelled when we came here too. So that was my point of view on what LeBron said. It was just another part of white supremacist propaganda prevailing in LeBron James. I've never particularly thought LeBron James was that smart, you know what I'm saying? So I expected something like this to come out of his mouth, and why he's there showing off for those guys because he wants to be liked so bad, and he's a narcissist. So, and another thing, when LeBron James said, when the guy said, I don't think LeBron James is going to be on the Grizzlies, he said, oh, they know their only chance was in 2003, as if he's this prize to be had. Dude, you only have 4 rings and 23 seasons. You're not a prize, cuz you're not that dude. And now you're bragging about these, bragging in front of these dudes that they should move a whole basketball franchise that's bringing revenue to a predominantly black city out of the city because you don't like the hotels when you play there, 4 times a year, 3 times a year? That is just insane. LeBron James is a phony on and off the court. He's a fraud. But anyway, that's my thoughts. I know this video is long. I tried my best to make it shorter, but when Deconstructing asked me to do a video on it, I just wanted to make myself clear about, you know what I'm saying, this whole situation. So, y'all let me know what y'all think down below. As always, I'll be down there with y'all. And always remember, we are ring culture, because the whole point of the culture is to win rings. For the culture, I love y'all. Peace.